Hey guys, there is a huge forbearance foreclosure wave coming in the near future. Now my question to you is, are you going to be the person that lets it blindside you, lets it pass you by, or are you going to hop on your surfboard and ride that wave to financial freedom? Now you're going to be sitting around the campfire looking back and saying, hey man, that was an awesome wave that I caught. All right, I admit that's a little cheesy, but it's true. In the past, that wave has been in the way of foreclosures at one point, short sales at one point, multifamily at some point, single family rentals, mobile home parks. It really depends on what the market's doing. And I did a video a couple videos back about turning market crashes into market cash. And that's just basically, you need to be ready for any kind of market changes. And this one that's coming up with the foreclosure and forbearance, I don't know that it's going to be as big as everybody's claiming. You see in the news articles and everywhere that there's this huge amount of homeowners in America that are facing foreclosure because of this COVID situation. But really, I'm going to be ready either way. You got to believe. I'm going to be ready if it happens or if it doesn't. And if it does, I want to be on that side that is going to be capitalizing on this and really turning it to my favor. And it's all about knowledge. So let's get going talking about forbearances and how you can put yourself in a position to really capitalize on this wave of forbearances. What is a forbearance? A forbearance is when somebody gets into trouble and they call their bank and they say, hey bank, I'm in trouble. I can't make my payments. The bank will say, hey, I'm going to give you a relief on your payments for the next X amount of time. And during that time, you get yourself situated, and then we're going to start back fresh as soon as this period is over. With the CARES Act, they've announced that that's 180 days with a 180-day renewal. So when that expires, there may be a group of people that cannot work out or cannot exercise on that agreement that they made with the bank for this forbearance. So that's where you want to be there. Be ready to step in and solve this homeowner's solution that may have lost their job or for whatever reason can't work out or can't make good on their agreement with the bank. Okay, so when a homeowner's in trouble, they can do several things. Number one, they can ask friends or family for money, solve the problem. They can walk away from the house. They can call the bank and get a forbearance. They can call the bank and get a loan modification. They can foreclose on the property. They might do a short sale. They might sell it for a discounted amount, or they may just try and stay in the property as long as possible. In the event that they do want to sell it as a discount, that's where you want to be ready. And specifically today, we're talking about forbearances. So if they do choose that forbearance, what has that done? That has paused their payments from the bank. It does not forgive their payments. They still have to make those payments back over time or at the end of their loan. Now you're probably wondering, okay, yeah, there's a lot of forbearances coming down the road, maybe a lot of foreclosures. How am I going to benefit from that? Well, what you want to position yourself, you want to put yourself between the person and the bank. You want to get there before the bank gets the property. People tell me all the time they want a foreclosure because they know they can get a good deal. Everybody's looking for a great deal, but what most people I think really want is a pre-foreclosure. 9 times out of 10, you can get a better deal as a pre-foreclosure than a foreclosure. And what do I mean by that? When somebody's going into foreclosure, up until the point that the bank actually auctions off the property and somebody goes to the auction like myself and will buy the property from auction for what the bank owes or what the balance is, there's a time when you can get in and negotiate with the seller and talk to the seller and say, hey, I'd like to buy your property. Let me give you some money. Let's solve this situation. And then you can go satisfy the bank's terms. And that's really where you can find some of your best deals. And the same thing happens with forbearance. And we were doing forbearances back in 2004 when the market was hot. This can be done at any time. It's just become in front of the headlines and there's this huge wave coming. Forbearance seller is somebody who has a property, they have a mortgage, but they can't pay it. You're going to step in, you're going to pay those forbearance payments back, you're going to take over the property, sell it for a profit. There's many different exit strategies here, but what I'm focusing on today is the actual forbearance aspect of this. Okay, here's a very common scenario that I think you're going to run into with this next wave of forbearances. So the most common scenario that you may see may be something like this. You've got a seller, maybe his name's Steve, he owes about $200,000 on his mortgage. You do a quick appraisal on it and you determine that it's worth about $240,000. He's done the full extension, 180 days plus another 180 more. He's got $14,000 in back payments and forbearance payments that he owes the bank. Plus, if he was gonna sell the property and do all that, all the costs involved, he's probably gonna make about $4,000 on this house. As an investor, can we make a deal out of this? Can we come in there, put ourselves in between and actually make some money? Let's say the home rents out for around $1,500 a month and we can come in, take over this property. His payments are around 12. We can make a $300 cash flow a month, be into the property for not very much money, and move on to the next deal. Now, there's always going to be people that owe less and the house is worth more, especially with the market going up the way it is. The typical homeowner has about 30 to 40% equity in their home right now. So in reality, these numbers could be quite a bit better for an investor. Now, with that being said, there are plenty of homeowners that are going to be in a lot better situation than this and a lot worse. So you'll find some that the margins are even smaller, and then you're going to find a lot of people that the margins are quite larger. Depending on their motivation will depend on how much money you can make on these type of deals. And why do I say that? Because whenever there's motivation, there's always a solution. And the more arrows you have in your quiver, the more you can pull out on any given scenario and be ready to capitalize on that specific situation. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do when working with these forbearances is to find the forbearance person to start with. This video is not really about that, but there's, we're going to go into finding activities, how to find motivated sellers, how to find these people in a future video. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find these people, we're going to start up a conversation. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to ask them why they're motivated, what their hardship is, and we're gathering this for a reason. You'll see in a minute. Number three, you're going to get a copy of their mortgage statement. Or if you can't get a copy of their mortgage statement, you need to get all the information that's on the mortgage statement, like the mortgage balance, the insurance, the interest rate, the payments monthly, how is it a fixed term or is it adjustable? All these items will come into play in the future. After you get the bank statements, you're going to want to make sure you find out how much they owe in forbearance amounts. How many payments have they missed? When was their last payment, and what are their repayment plan with the bank. Now, this loan, if it was federally insured, FHA, VA, HUD, Fannie Mae, or Freddie Mac, those are going to have some standardized responses. But if you get a loan servicer that maybe worked out a forbearance with these people, the options are really quite large. Now, after you've gathered all the information, the next step is going to be to make them an offer. And they're going to tailor this to their specific scenario. Now you're going to negotiate a deal that has the best net benefit for both you and the seller. That may be buying it all cash quickly. That may be taking over their mortgage and taking over their property. That may be doing a wrap. You may wholesale it. You may do a double closing, taking the house with a lease option to buy. You may just do a forbearance yourself. Once you've got the terms negotiated, you're going to get a contract signed. You're also going to get from them what's called a third-party authorization to release information form. Now, each bank may have their own specific form, or you can print up a general form like this, and it may work, it may not. So, for example, if they have a Wells Fargo mortgage, you're going to go to the Wells Fargo website. You can just do a Google search for this, do Wells Fargo third-party authorization to release information form. I know it's long. But that should get you what you're looking for. And it basically has information like what is the homeowner's account number, what is their mortgage, what is their social security number, and it's a signature from the homeowner saying that, and they authorize you as X, Y, and Z, representing X, Y, and Z company, going to help you negotiate or help you out with their mortgage. And you're going to take that piece of paper, you're going to fax it to the bank or email if they'll let you. And once they get that, they will allow you to talk to the bank will allow you to talk to them about this specific person's loan. If you just try and call in off the street, obviously they're not going to give you any private information. So that's what this third-party release is for. You may want to get a limited power of attorney over this specific piece of real estate. If you envision anything else in the future coming up that you may want, and the seller's going to be moving on with their life, you may want to get that power of attorney that will allow you to continue to work on this deal without having to recontact the seller at a future point. So now that you've faxed in that authorization to release, you're going to call the bank, you're going to say, I'm so-and-so, and it may take them a couple days to get this into the system, but once they do, they may ask you some qualifying questions, but you can answer them, and you can say, I'm helping so-and-so with their mortgage. Tell me what's going on. How can we work this out? What are our options? Can we do a forbearance? Have we already done a forbearance? What are the repayment terms? Can we just pay you that back and reinstate the mortgage as current? You're going to want to find out what's available, what are your options, and if you do work out an agreement, you want to make sure you get that in writing. And let's say they had a forbearance amount of $15,000 to $20,000. At the end of that, you can oftentimes do a loan modification, which is a way for you to start repaying those payments over time. It's called recapitalization of the mortgage. And what they're going to do is they're going to take that amount, they're going to put it back in the mortgage, and they're going to recapitalize your amortization schedule and tell you what your new payment's going to be. So that's it. I'm not really going to go into all the ins and outs of how you can sell these properties or the ins and outs of subject twos at this time, but I just want to talk about forbearances. And because there's so many coming up and there's such a huge market change coming, I want you all to be able to capitalize on this. And if you've done this in the recent past, I'd love to hear your experiences. Just comment down below. You know, anytime I've ever done this, oftentimes the homeowner is thanking me, you know, all the way through closing and even after closing, really because you're solving their problem, and you can make it a win-win. So you can make money, they can get out of this nasty situation that they're in and move on with their lives. Really comment, share this with anybody you know that may be in forbearance, or anybody that is interested in real estate that may not know about this tactic and this opportunity coming down the road. Because like I say, you don't want to get blindsided by this. You really want to take advantage and add this to your Rolodex or your quiver of arrows that you're going to use in your real estate career. I kind of did this section out of order because forbearance is more of a time-sensitive thing. Because of this big wave of forbearance is coming, I wanted you to be ready for it and be ready to capitalize on it. So I'm going to put this in the spots where it needs to go, and let me know if there's anything I missed, and I will pin it in the comments down below. And have a good day. Awesome. That stupid bird has been chirping this whole time. I will not shut up. I've had to stop this video like 4 times trying to get the bird to shut up. That's the problem with doing these outside. But it's so nice. I mean, it's December 27th, 18th, something like that, right before Christmas. And I'm kind of hot right now, actually. So